Record. Yay! All right. So welcome to this morning's training call. Um, I had this idea this morning that a lot of us with new people coming on, we get really, really, really excited about making sales and doing all the things, and it can be really discouraging when the month has gone by and the thing you envisioned for your month didn't happen. And so I really wanted to talk about the importance of patience in building sales relationships. That's really, really cumbersome, but when we get the concept, you will find hopefully some comfort in it. So, we're going to talk about how to understand the value of patience and consistency when you're building relationships with people that you do want to sell to. While we don't want to be salesy and we don't want to be icky, we are in a sales in like a sales business. We don't make money if people don't buy our product. And so you have to get to the place of understanding, okay, this is sales, but I'm not here to just make money. I'm here to help people. And in helping people, I am making my income. And the relationships that you cultivate today can lead to sales in the future. And patience and strategy are essential. So, point one, the relationship timeline. So, sales often result from relationships nurtured over time. And this is something that you may not realize it, especially because some of the relationships they have been building over time, but they've been organically building. So our relationships with our siblings and with friends from high school and with friends from church, you have been organically building a relationship. And so now we're in a business. Plexus is a friend building relationship, friend building business. So if you aren't actively building new friendships, there's going to come a place where you are going to kind of feel like you've tapped out on who you can talk to. And so an example is since I have begun um, using Instagram as a funnel to make new friends, I have realized that relationships that I started building 3 months ago are the sales that I'm making today. It is very rare that the sales that I make in a month started with the relationships that I made that month. That is few and far between versus the relationships that have been gathering, snowballing from when I first made initial contact 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months ago and just continuing to touch back into those people's lives. So, what happens if you give up during your first month or during your second month? You miss opportunities to connect with people who would otherwise have had the ability to say yes to you. But because you felt discouraged because no one signed on the first month you started, or you felt discouraged because people didn't sign on the second month that you started, all of a sudden you've lost all the seed that was germinating under the ground. Funny little story. So I've got my kids, my 3-year-old has been hyper obsessed with collecting acorns, like hyper obsessed. We spent all of last month instead of riding bikes, so like normal riding bikes, he'd be like, Mommy, watch me, keep me safe while I collect acorns. And we would go down the street and he'd be like going into our neighbors' yards, taking their little acorn seeds. And so he started putting them in a jar in this big jug and just collecting them. So he's got this big jar, easily over 200 acorns. Yesterday he decided what he was going to do was dump out that jug and put it in a different spot. He's got this tricycle where the seat lifts up, and so he was going to put them all on in the compartment underneath his seat. So as he's dumping it out, we're seeing that these seeds that have just been sitting in this jug have started to germinate, which means the shell has started to crack and what's on the inside has started to come out. It started to create a root system within this little plastic jug. And several of the seeds were uncracked, but there were about 10 of them that the shell had cracked and they were ready to come to bear fruit or begin to find a source of nourishment, say soil, water, life, They weren't going to find that in that plastic jug. But my son had been collecting and collecting and collecting and collecting. And it wasn't until he went back and revisited those seeds that he collected that all of a sudden he realized, wow, there's so much potential in this seed. There's so much potential in this one. Oh, look, this one's got roots coming. Oh, look. And I was able to teach my son about the potential of things built up in small things. Every relationship that we have has the potential to be big, to become a giant oak tree in the backyard, right? But we start off with just collecting initial contact. And we have to remember that it's important to revisit those seeds that we've sown in order to see, one, are we further along than we were last week? Some of those seeds did not have any sprouts, but several of them had started to sprout, which meant it was already beginning ready to go into the next level. We want to remember that those seeds, like just like how my son realized, oh my goodness, this seed could go in the ground. It could bear fruit. The relationships that we make last month and 2 months ago and 3 months ago can bear fruit and they can bring us to a place of success. Now, there are two strategies that I want people to think about when we're talking about sales success. Strategy number one is immediate sales from existing relationships. So with that, we want to leverage trust and familiarity, right? So existing relationships, again, siblings, friends, people from church. Now, listen to me. Do not cold message people who do not need what you have to offer. If your motive when you're messaging people is I need a sale, then you're already in the wrong frame of mind. When we're approaching people that trust us, that already trust us, we have to honor that trust. And we have to know that in order to nurture that trust and in order to keep that trust, when we approach our friends and family with an opportunity, it's because we firmly believe that what we have to offer will be of value to them. Now, one of the things I have loved to do now is Facebook gives me like over 500, maybe almost 1,000 people who have said, "Hey, I'm friends with Nellie. I want to be like, you're friends with me, I'm friends with you." There's a warm trust being started or has been established over time. And so what I've started doing is every few days or so, I will reach out to three or four of my friends on Facebook and I will say something along the lines of like, "Hey, I don't know if you've seen, I've been taking this product. It's helped me with X, Y, and Z. I don't know if this could be helpful for you. Would this be something of benefit to you? Would you like to learn more?" And actually, I'm surprised to say the majority of the conversations were like, "Yeah, tell me more." And that was a seed then being sown to them being aware of Plexus, where otherwise they weren't asking me about it. But because we had already established a relationship and I was coming from a place of, hey, would this help you? It was like a spy in the land. I'm looking to see if this, before I spew all this information about Plexus and how great this product is, would this even be helpful to you? Because if you tell me no, I won't waste my time with spewing all this information about Plexus. I'm going to make sure that I'm honoring where you are right now. So there's that. So we want to identify your warm contacts who already know and trust you. Reach out with a personalized message and offer solutions that meet their immediate needs. Do they have a financial need? Do they have a physical need? Um, and the goal with that of reaching out to people that already know and trust you is you'll end up having better turnover as far as sales and a higher likelihood of closing the deal because they already know and trust you. You come from a place of genuine um, wanting to care for them, and you already have established the relationship. So there's less time of waiting for the seed to sprout. It's already been germinating. It's already been producing a little bit. So the goal is to just capitalize on the fact that these people already know and trust you. Now you can offer them what you have to offer. The second strategy for growing quickly with new relationships. So if your goal is, and I've seen this happen over and over again, you're like, okay, I want to make money from Plexus. I'm going to start a new Instagram page. I'm going to start from ground zero. I'm going to make it 100% about gut health. And then they launch this Instagram page. The page has nothing to do with their personal life, has nothing to do with who you are or why you started, and you start just posting pictures of Plexus products without much background, without and not you don't have the education to educate people, so it's very shallow, and all of a sudden you have no you're offering zero value to people, So no one's going to come to that Instagram page. The goal with building new relationships is that you are pouring out value like every single day, consistently, daily outreach to build trust and connections. You can build a successful social media page, a social media business with your personal page. Now, there are some things I did pivot for myself. You don't have to do, but I did. I stopped showing the faces of my children for my own comfort level. I stopped disclosing when I'm currently at a location. So if I post about going to Disney, I've already left Disney. You're not going to find me there. So all that those little security measures you can do to keep your family safe, protect your privacy, right? You don't have to talk about every little piece of your life just because it's your personal page, but you're utilizing the momentum that your personal page already has with establishing certain relationships and helping the algorithm know who is it you're talking to. Um, so, but being intentional about, I will say the number one thing that you would do to grow on social media is not the reels that you make, it is intentionally engaging in other people's content, talking to people, engaging in their stories, sending the messages that are just inquiring about their life, saying, "Hey, you know what? I haven't seen you out here in a while. How are you? What's going on?" I've had women check in on me and I've checked in on them and we have never met in person. I've had women that say, "Oh my goodness, you're an angel." I don't want to tell you. She's like, "You're an angel. Ah, you're my best friend. I love you." And like there's things like that where like we're building relationship and we can't negate that. So one of the some action steps that you can take for growing quickly on with new relationships is set a daily goal for the number of new people to contact. How many people do you want to contact today? The higher the number, the higher the ratio of sales you're going to end up with. Two, use social media, networking events, and referrals to expand your reach. Let it be okay that you're not making an initial sale right there when you made a new contact. It is so I could flip through my notebook here and look at the number of Plexus conversations I had, say in May, and say five of them out and out told me no. 2 months later, three of those five told me yes. I just kept showing up, just kept being consistent. Their no doesn't impact me. And it doesn't impact the relationship I'm building with them. Now, there are some instances when it is a direct, okay, let me give you an example without telling you names. I had one lady that told me no, and she didn't quite give me she goes, "Yeah, no, not right now." Okay, that's a could be in the future, right? That's a not right now. I'm still building relationships with her. This one other person building relationships for a couple months. And then when it came time for them, they actually said they were going to buy. And then they went and they signed up, like they were getting everything going. But then they said, "Hey, yeah, my mom is uncomfortable with MLMs, so I'm not going to do this." So I'm going to be like, "Okay, unless you tell me that your mom changed her mind and you or stopped caring, I'm not going to keep feeding into that because then it'll be the same. When you get all the way to the checkout window and you're like, yeah, my mom said she didn't like this, so I'm just not going to do it." Then for me, that tells me that my energy has to be funneled elsewhere. So use discernment on knowing, okay, I need to keep pursuing this person and just being a friend to them versus I'm spewing energy in a place that's not catching it. Okay. Um, Follow up consistently over weeks and months. If you have to write down the people that you've contacted in order to stay on top of it, do that. But be like, so one of the things I like to do, we did the challenge last week of 50 contacts. I wrote down their names. And so every time I touch back on them, I just did a little check mark in pencil above their name. So I knew, okay, I touched back with them. Um, Other things that I do is I go into my followers list. These are people that want to hear from me. I go into my followers list and I'll engage in their content. And some people fangirl over the fact that now that I've reached out to them and I've contacted on their stuff, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I love your content, blah, blah, blah." That wasn't happening 8 months ago. No one cared about my content 8 months ago. But now, because of the momentum that I've built, they care. But just engaging back in their content makes them know that I care about them. Um, Keep consistently following up. Click if make note of the people you click with. Oh my goodness. If there are women that you're just like, oh yeah, we're firing on all cylinders, whether I've talked about Plexus or not, make note of that. Keep pouring into that relationship because there's a really good chance that that relationship is going to bear fruit in a way that is fruitful for both of you. The goal is to have a growing pipeline that leads to steady sales over time. So if you consistently sow into your relationships and sow into making new relationships, you're going to bear that fruit. It's going to happen. It is inevitable. Dig deep into the relationship building. There is power in numbers. The more people you connect with, the greater your potential for success. So it's the same way that if you talk to only 5 people this week, that's the pool you have to get from. That's the number you have to pull from. Or if you talk to 50 people this week, that is the pool you have to draw from. So the more people you talk to, the more of a group of people you have to help get started with their wellness journey. And if you need to create a relationship tracker to log new and existing contacts, do that. And visualize these people that are starting on day one. Visualize what it's going to look like in month 2 and 3. Do these people have the potential to say yes? And especially if they have expressed in their stories exhaustion, weight loss, frustration, literally any mom, unless she is bragging about how she's doing something and she feels so good, there is a 90% chance she doesn't feel good and she needs something. So like have conversations with ears tuned to listen to the needs or the unspoken needs of the women and be patient. Patience is a skill. It is a skill. We want to reframe our waiting as planting seeds. So the same way that the second you engage in a new conversation, you said, I have just put a seed on the ground. And the last thing you're going to do as a farmer, if you're a smart one, is dig up that seed. Is it sprouting yet? Is it ready yet? Now, I mean, you could consider it like us germinating our little acorn seeds. Just okay, before you feel like you've made your plexus, don't make a plexus conversation until you feel like that seed is ready to go in the ground, right? So if you say, okay, I made a new contact. This is me. I've gathered a seed. I made a new contact. I gathered a seed. I'm going to hold this seed close to myself until it looks like it's starting to sprout. And when it starts to sprout, that's when I'm going to put it in the ground. That's my plexus conversation. And your whole goal is to nurture that seed, put it in an environment where it knows it's safe to sprout here. There's plenty of friendship here and acceptance and understanding and camaraderie and laughter here. This is a safe space for you to share with me what you're struggling with. And when you share with me what you're struggling with, I'm going to share with you the solution that I found. And I'm going to put that seed in the ground. Um, Celebrate those little wins. When you've made a new contact, celebrate that. And when you have heard back from someone, celebrate that. Even if they live outside of our market and you can't actually sell to them because they live in the Ukraine and we don't ship to the Ukraine. That is a person that was interested in our product. And even though they can't buy it, you have made an impact on someone. And that's just proof that you can do it. All right, so almost done. Action plan for sales team. 1, have weekly goals. Reach out to a specific number of existing relationships and set a daily target on new contacts. You can do both. You can talk to people who already know you and you can talk to people who don't know you. No one's going to kill you. You're not going to die. The honestly, if someone is completely, if you're like, hey, friend, How are you? Do you have a need for this product? And they're like, no, never. I can't talk to you ever again. It makes you wonder what's going on with them. And it's probably more on them than you if their response is to like if you reach out to them with genuinely caring and wanting to see if they could use the solution and they flip out on you, there's a really good chance your relationship was not as strong as you thought it was. But I mean, I've reached out to several people and not one has talked to me that way. Not one. They either ignored me, which is actually the rarest response, or they're like, yeah, I don't mind. Tell me more. Oh, yeah, I've been dealing with some stuff. Or I've been seeing your things around. What is it that you do? There's a curiosity there. So just lean into the hope that people are going to be more curious than they are going to be more aggressively angry. Like you're not going to get shunned. You'll survive. Okay. And then towards the end of the month or the beginning of the next month, kind of look back on the relationships as they're growing and see, okay, does it look like anyone's really great potential? And adjust your outreach strategies based on those results. People that are engaging a lot, look in your stories. You can see who's looking at your stories every day. I have one lady who she's like, I believe that network marketing is a scam and they're just out for your money, but she's watching my stories every single day. And she has asked me questions about gut health and things related. So I feel like she's just a tough nut that's not ready for Plexus, but there's going to be a matter of time before she turns around and said, all right, Nellie, I've seen you've been doing this for 15 years. I think it's time for me to say yes. And because I'm going to keep showing up, she at some point she's going to crack because she keeps looking at my stuff. So it's going to happen. All right. So just to recap, patience and consistency builds trust and leads to sales. Share your life with the people you know and the people that you don't know. Choose intentionally what portions of your life you're going to share with others and let that be shared consistently. For me, I share my wellness journey up, down, whatever, consistently. But you don't get to see my baby's faces and you don't get to see like every single piece of my day. Only the pieces that I choose to show. Use the two strategies to balance short-term and long-term goals. Reach into the pot of relationships that you already have and consistently grow the pool of people that you will have to draw from by building new relationships. The power of sales lies in the number of connections made and nurtured. And remember, success doesn't happen overnight. It's built one relationship at a time. Okay, so I hope this is helpful for you. And I'm going to wrap it up here. And if you ever have any questions about how you can grow your network, I am one message away. All right.